Good morning, you absolutely beautiful people. How are you guys doing today? No, really, I hope you're doing good. Anyway, today we have a really long video because I am reviewing the entire assault rifle category. Yes, all 9 assault rifles, minus the Ripper, because that's technically a submachine gun. Plus, I already did a review on that yesterday, I believe. So, enjoy the list, and yeah, not too much to say. Here we go. And as the worst assault rifle, we unfortunately have the MSBS. Now this is incredibly weird for me because this was the most overpowered gun in the beginning of Ghosts, and now it's one of the weakest. At least with the CBJ and the shotguns, you can have some sort of reason why it's bad. The MSBS is an assault rifle that's not really good outside of a certain range or inside of a certain range. Because it's a burst fire, it's not good in close quarter combat, but there's so much recoil that it's not really good at long distance or medium to long distance combat, which is really weird. There's a certain, I want to say, medium distance or shorter distance where the MSBS is perfect, where the recoil is just fine and you won't have a problem and it's super consistent. But anywhere outside of that range, it's a toss-up, you know. One thing that I found really surprising actually is the single shot attachment for this gun is actually really good. If you're looking for more consistent kills over that long distance range, then use the single shot attachment. The variable zoom sight isn't half bad either with that attachment. It's actually really fun. I had a lot of fun with it, and surprisingly, very viable. Up close, you're going to have to spam the trigger a little bit more than you would have to, but still, that's an interesting class setup. Deadeye works on it just fine. It makes it a little bit more consistent. Grip, it works, you can notice it, but again, it's not that good. Personally, the 3-round burst assault rifles have been really weird lately. We had COD 4's 3-round burst assault rifle, which was so overpowered. Then you had Modern Warfare 2's M16, which was just perfect. Then you had Modern Warfare 3's M16, which is terrible, and Modern Warfare 3's Type 95, which was, in my opinion, what we need this MSBS to be. In order to balance the MSBS, you need to increase the rate of fire and decrease the recoil, and maybe decrease the range if that's necessary. I'm not quite sure how balanced all the guns are right now compared to each other, but the Type 95 was a low recoil, low range, but really fast rate of fire gun. So I wish we had that. I feel like it would suit Ghosts very effectively for that. For the MSBS to get a lot less recoil and be that low damage but high rate of fire gun. Now, that being said, you know, it's very usable. It's not so much competitive, but it's very usable. Like, you can do good with this gun. It's not difficult to do good with this gun. So, we're in assault rifle territory, so any bad I say, it's a bad assault rifle, which is the best class in the game. So, let's move on to the next assault rifle. Indeed, the next assault rifle that I do not like is the Maverick, the assault rifle variant. Now, this is weird because it's supposed to have really high damage up close, and then it fades out to a moderate damage at a distance. However, from my experience, it's a very low damage assault rifle, except for at point blank range, and the recoil is not so much high, as in it doesn't kick way left or way right or way up or way down, but it kicks randomly. It's inconsistent recoil. It's not like the ARX where you know it's just gonna shoot up. It's weird. Now, that being said, I found one of my favorite setups with this gun. You're gonna see a couple clips from it in here, and that is variable zoom and single shot. It's the same class I had with the MSBS, but it was beast with the Maverick. The only thing about it is that up close you're gonna have a tough time if your shots aren't on target. The rate of fire is really slow, and that's probably why I don't like this gun. Fully automatic, it's just not my forte. I just don't like it. It's weird recoil, low damage, low range, and low rate of fire, which is, you know, compare that to the Remington, compare that to the Honey Badger. You know, it's not good. It's not, like I said, assault rifle. You're not gonna do absolutely awful with it, but definitely not one of my favorites. I personally thought it was gonna be the last one on the list, but MSBS was just so niche and weird that I had to put it last, and so this is second last. Nothing terrible, nothing too special here. Class setup, just use whatever you're comfortable with. And there's no real strength or weakness, or yeah, I guess there's no real weakness to this gun other than it's just kind of a flaming one. Anyway, let's get on to the next assault rifle. Alright, now we're getting somewhere. This gun is kind of weird for me. This is like the Maverick in that it has a low damage and substantial recoil, but unlike the Maverick, it has a high rate of fire. The ARX is the next one on the list. Now, this is the hybrid submachine or assault rifle. It has submachine gun, I believe, hip fire accuracy, and it has a high rate of fire, so the best way to use this is a high mobility class. I like the iron sights on it. They're exactly the same as the Honey Badger, I believe, and I use silencer and grip, or I use single shot and whatever else. Single shot and silencer, single shot tracker sight. Even silencer tracker sight is pretty good. The single shot is okay at a distance. Up close, I struggle with it. The rate of fire is really slow. It could just be my trigger finger. Or it could be I was just rusty last night, you know, whatever the case may be. Definitely not a huge fan of this gun, but it is, it's good with Deadeye, like most guns are. It's more consistent with Deadeye. But, you know, you can pretty much use this like any other assault rifle. Excuse me, what was that? Yeah, nothing too special to say here. People really like this gun with single shot. I'm not really feeling it, so I still like the silencer and grip. Use it like a submachine gun. Put some agility on there, marathon, ready up, quick draw. Compete with submachine guns to where the weakness of this gun, the main weakness, is the damage and the recoil. So if you can eliminate the recoil with it not being a factor by being really up close to the people, then you're not going to have a problem. The low damage, it has a high rate of fire, so it can cancel itself out if you're on target. So use agility, use marathon, get up close, use that hip fire laser sight to your advantage, and treat it like the hybrid gun it is. Now we can get to the tough decisions. Here we go. And now that leads us to one of the hardest, if not the hardest decisions I've ever had to make in one of these lists. Unfortunately, the SC-2010 is my next worst gun. Now, at this point, there are no bad guns. From here on out, all of these guns are great, they're good, they're viable, they're competitive. So the SC-2010 being the next one on the list has nothing to do with how bad it is, but how good the rest of the guns are. So that being said, let us talk about what I don't like about the SC-2010. The main thing I don't like about the SC-2010 is the low damage. The FAD is also a low damage weapon. It has a high rate of fire and a large ammo capacity. The SC-2010 has a low damage, low recoil, but unfortunately it has also a low ammo capacity. Plus, it doesn't have the lowest recoil, which is kind of weird because I always thought this gun has like ACR type recoil, and don't get me wrong, the recoil is very, very consistent and it's small and it's almost negligible, but it bounces up and down pretty greatly. It's very noticeable. It's not that effective though. It's not effective recoil. It bounces, but it really doesn't affect the way you use the gun. So the low damage made me lose a lot of gunfights, but I will say for the average assault rifle, it is pretty good. If you're learning assault rifles or if you're learning this game, the SC-2010 is a great way to stay on target and get rewarded for those kills. It's not a bad gun, like I said before. Plus, I found something cool. I'm really proud of this. Single shot, don't use single shot. But if you use the burst fire attachment, I believe this is the hidden M16 in Ghosts. This is a great attachment to put on this gun. It reminds me, it sounds, it looks, it feels just like the M16 from Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare 3. The damage is just there when you put on the 3-round burst that it feels exactly like the M16 as well. So if you haven't tried it, try that out yet. Don't badmouth me because I put the SC2010 next. It's just because the other guns are great. So speaking of the other guns, let's move on to the next one. Moving right along, we have the SA805. Now this one is kind of controversial. Some of you may switch this with the SC2010 and put the SC2010 in this spot and the SA805 in the last spot, but I like the SA805 for a couple reasons. Well, actually a lot of reasons. It has great range, great damage, and a great rate of fire. It's very consistent, it's very good. The only downside of it, is the recoil. It is a very high recoil, but it is somewhat manageable. If you put the grip on it, I have noticed that it only kicks up and to the right, and it bounces kind of around in that area. So if you can control that, and if you can control the engagement to where that recoil isn't really a problem in getting those mid-range combat fights, then really there is no downside to this gun. It's a great assault rifle. It kind of gives you a good contrast between this and the SC2010. The two main types of assault rifles you're going to have. You're going to have the high damage, high recoil, or you're going to have the low damage, low recoil. So you have the SC2010 and the SA805 that really contrasts each other. I personally prefer the high damage, high recoil guns. I always have. I've always loved the AK-47s. And this is comparable to that, so that's why this gun is above the SC2010. Plus, I believe single shot wasn't too terrible with it. I didn't like burst fire, the recoil was too high, but single shot, try that out. Deadeye, I didn't find so much of worth because the damage is already so high, but you know, experiment yourself. Silencer is great because of the great range. Really a versatile gun here, so enjoy that, and let's move on to the tougher decisions.
Enemy has Alpha. Vulture ready. All points held. Defend your position.
This is a weird one for me. I actually changed my vote after using this gun a little bit more. The Honey Badger is actually the next in our pick. Now, when I used this, it was pretty good, and it is a good gun, and it is top tier gun. You can be competitive with it, and it's a very great gun for attachments. The iron sights are great in my opinion, but you could do a red dot, you could do a grip, or any other of those extra mods, I believe they're called. It's not a bad gun, but it's the next one on the list. What I love about it is the integrated silencer, of course. It opens up all those attachments. Side note, I heard that the single shot is good. In my experience, I did not come up with a lot of engagements to where it was beneficial to me. I got a lot of hit markers with it, and it was really slow. Anyway, burst fire on the other hand, not terrible, not too bad. The recoil is kind of substantial, but at that mid-range, kind of at that MSBS range, then it's not that bad. So if you don't want to use the silenced MSBS, then you can go with the Honey Badger, I guess. The recoil is random, so it's kind of like the Maverick, but it is in a circular pattern, so it'll correct itself, I found, most of the time. It's great. It's a great silenced weapon out to that middle range. I use it as one of my try-hard weapons. I have a class with the armor piercing rounds. That's my armor piercing class, along with the foregrip, which really helps to me. Really great gun. I really love it. It's really consistent, really good, and yeah, not too much bad to say about it. Just the recoil is kind of weird for me, and yeah. So let's move on and see what the next one is. There's a certain point in some of these lists where I just know that people are going to disagree. And this gun is exactly that point. The FAD, the FAD, is one of my favorite guns. This is my go-to silenced gun. When I want to be stealthy, when I want to be maneuverable, I want to use the FAD. Now you're thinking, why not use the Honey Badger? Well, the FAD is fantastic out to a medium long distance. Now, I know that sounds weird because when you use it and you first use it, wow, recoil, you know, it's off-putting the amount of recoil it has. But when you put a silencer and a foregrip on it, this thing turns into an ACR. Now, it doesn't do it by itself. The recoil is extremely vertical, but it is 100% vertical. Well, basically 100% vertical. If you manage to pull it down a very little bit, the recoil is a straight shooter. It goes in a perfectly straight line. It reminds me of the MP7's recoil from Modern Warfare 3. It'll kick up at first a little bit, but then it'll just maintain there. And if you pull that stick down a little bit, it'll be perfect. It'll be sweet. I have noticed that without the grip attachment, then it gets a little bit shaky, it gets a little bit weird with the recoil, but still not that bad. Personally, if you use the silencer and foregrip, it is the top third assault rifle without a doubt. The rate of fire is fantastic. The damage seems low, but the damage is, I would say, a little bit higher. No, I'd say a little bit lower than the Honey Badger, and I think that's not half bad. I would really consider giving this a shot if you haven't tried it out yet. Silencer foregrip, and just grind with it. Grind with it a little bit. Take some time. Actually get to know the gun. Use some different attachments. I didn't like the burst fire. I didn't like the single shot. Sights on it, I really don't need the sights. I love the iron sights. I love the iron sights from Modern Warfare 3. This is one of my favorite guns from Modern Warfare 3 as well. You just have that little pinpoint needle as the iron sight. I love it. I love this gun. I think it's great. It's my try-hard weapon. I have support on it. This is my go-to class every time I'm in a struggle, and definitely great. Go check it out. Now let's go to the top 2 gun. Here we go.
Fast ready for deployment. Brawler's ready.
That's done. I'm not driving. Oh man, we won by one.
This gun was the first gun that I got gold. I grinded this out. Had to be first or second prestige, and I finally got this gold, and I didn't touch it for the longest time, probably for the remainder of the prestiges that I went through. Using it today, it is a beast. Even with the so-called increased visual view kick, it is still awesome. Now, it is noticeable the screen does kick left to right a little bit more. It is a little bit slippery, but definitely not bad by any means. Now, there is a lot of ways to use this gun, and I will say personally, if I get killed by the AK-12 and there's a sight on it, I really feel bad for you. Honestly, this gun has beautiful iron sights. When you put a red dot sight on it, when you put any other sight on it, it's just goofy and silly, and you're doing it wrong. This gun deserves a grip. This gun deserves an armor-piercing muzzle brake silencer. Any combination of those. I'm not a big fan of the single shot. It wasn't terrible. The burst fire wasn't terrible, but you know, it's almost on the grounds of overpowered, but it's not something that I felt indestructible in. I had to be accurate. It took a little bit longer than say a Remington would be to kill people. I feel like this is the average gun. When you're on target with every other gun, it's exactly the same time to kill. I think this is perfectly balanced. It's low recoil, high damage, but it's a very low rate of fire, so you gotta be on target. You can almost count your shots, which I half the time like, half the time don't like. Other than that, it is a great gun. Low rate of fire, high damage. I've been a fan of the AK-12 series ever since, I guess, Modern Warfare 2, so yes, let us think about what is number 1. I wonder what could it be. Last week, when I was covering the shotguns, I said the most overpowered gun in the game was the Bulldog. Well, this week we have the Remington R5. Holy crap, did I get my mind blown this week? This gun is so overpowered. No, 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 no. Don't even try to argue this. This gun is this gun is a fully automatic marksman rifle with zero recoil. It has incredible damage, incredible range, and incredibly low recoil. It is non-existent. The rate of fire is apparently the weakness of this gun. I will say the most annoying thing about this gun is the fact that I have to run extended mags on it. Yes, I have to do that, but if I run a silencer on it, you know, I'm kind of just, you know, limiting myself there either way. I don't like the iron sights. They're not terrible, but they're terrible. You know, some of the iron sights look good, but they don't function properly. These iron sights look good, but they just obscure too much of my vision, so a red dot sight is all you're ever going to see, as well as a tracker sight, I guess. Holographic ACOG, not terrible. Variable zoom, not terrible, but red dot or tracker sight, the best attachments for this gun. Other than that, extended mags, muzzle brake, silencer, whatever else, armor piercing, third attachment is great. This gun is so overpowered. There is zero weakness about this gun. People will argue, oh, it's bad in close quarters. No, 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 no. Shotguns are bad in close quarters. The combat knife beats the shotguns. Nothing beats the Remington R5. This gun deserves a huge nerf. How about how good getting fired up. How do we go about doing that? I'm not entirely sure. I don't know how you nerf this gun without making it another gun. Decrease the rate of fire even more, maybe? I don't know. Decrease the range, but if you decrease the range, then you got exactly the AK-12. If you decrease the damage, that might do it. Decreasing the damage a little bit, have it an in-between between the SC-2010 and the SA-805, maybe. I think that's what they have to do with it. They have to nerf this weapon somehow. It's incredibly overpowered. I am tired of seeing all of the top tier weapons being used. So the Bulldog, the M27, the MTAR, and especially the Remington R5 all need a nerf to bring them back down to where the other guns in their category are, and that is it. But anyway, best gun in the class by far. You guys know, it's no surprise there. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we made it. We made it all the way through all these guns. Now this was a very difficult list for me to do. I am going to make different decisions in the future. I'm sure in other videos you're going to hear me say how much I love the SC-2010 and how much I don't like the SA-805 or whatever. So this is just a list I threw together in the past week, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and write down in the comment section below, what is your list? This is incredibly more difficult than you would think it would be. What is your list for your favorite assault rifles from worst to best? Thank you guys so much for watching again, and until the next absolutely beautiful Call of Duty morning, I will catch up with you guys later, and as always, have a great day.